Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Celtic Warband here, and welcome to the Battle of Grunwald, also called the Battle of Tannenburg and the Battle of Zalgiris. This took place on July 15th, 1410, and it was a dispute between the Teutonic Order and an allied Poland-Lithuania. So a little bit of the backstory, the Polish and the Teutonic Order were pretty good friends, so to speak, up until this point. Basically, Poland had been giving castles and large tracts of land to the Teutonic Order in exchange for them protecting their borders. Now, what changed was that the Teutonic Order really loved to invade Lithuania because, in the eyes of these Christians, the Lithuanians were a pagan people. So for 100 years, they just continued their crusades of raiding Poland and Lithuania. Or sorry, not Poland, just Lithuania, and defending Poland from the Lithuanians. But, things started to change in about 1385, I believe it was, when a marriage took place between the Queen of Poland and the Duke of Lithuania. So that kind of sealed their two nations in an alliance, so to speak. And that's where problems started to arise, because the new king of Poland was very sympathetic to the Lithuanians and their cause. And even though he converted to Christianity, he still felt like the Teutonic Order should not be invading Lithuanian territory. So he told the Teutonic Order Grand Master, who at the time, I can't really pronounce his name very well, it's Ulrich von Jungingen, or Jinsen? I don't know, but anyways, the Grand Master was informed that he would not tolerate any more raids into Lithuanian territory, and the Teutonic Order basically kind of just laughed and sloughed that off. They really didn't care what this new Polish king had to say, and so basically that started this this war with Poland and Lithuania at the Teutonic Order. And very quickly onto this Battle of Grunwald. Basically what happened was Ulrich expected the Lithuanians and the Polish to attack on separate fronts, but that did not happen. The Polish and Lithuanian forces actually met as one, and they crossed a river that bordered the Teutonic Order's lands about 60 kilometers from Marienburg, which was their capital city. And Ulrich soon realized his mistake, and he marshaled as many soldiers as he could and cut them off at the field just before Grunwald, which is a small town in the Teutonic Order. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and look at the army compositions, and then we'll get the battle started. You can see it's a very, very large army here, and it is a rainy day, which was historically accurate. We can take a look at the man count here. It's about 6,100 for the Teutonic Order side, and 8,100 for the Polish-Lithuanian side. And you guys did see the correct exact numbers in the intro video, but unfortunately we can't really replicate that here. But this is the main pride of Ulrich's army. He did have a lot of Ritterbrüders, some very elite cavalry. So I've got about 5 units of them on this flank. And then over in the center, I've got 5 units of Prussian archers. They look really cool. I like the little shields on the back there. And then I have 2 units of pikemen and 3 units of spears. And then my main line is the Schwarzbrüder, which is basically just a tier 1 unit. And then I have 4 units of these Teutonic sergeants. And then right in the center, right behind the Grand Master's Guard, which will represent Ulrich, I've got 3 units of these men-at-arms, heavy polearm infantry, so they're pretty elite. And then jumping over to my allies' side, we've got another Grandmaster's Guard, but we're just going to say that's a regular general, because Ulrich was the only main Grandmaster at this point in time. But there's 4 heavy crossbowmen on this flank, and we've got a lot of spear sergeants as well, looks like 5 units of them. And then he's bringing 5 units of Schwarzbrüder as well. And then 4 units of these heavy pikemen, so hopefully he'll be able to do some damage with them. Then we got the Grandmaster's Guard here. And then he also has 4 units of Teutonic Sergeants on this flank as well. And then way over on this flank, we've got 5 more units of this high period Ritterbrüder. And they've also got some chevron upgrades as well, so they're more elite than my cavalry, which is good to see, because we've got the Lithuanians staring down at them. with some of their cavalry. So we've got some mercenary Mazovian cavalry. So this was pretty historically accurate of a battle. I do have to say I really appreciate my enemies bringing some mercenary units, but there was a lot of mercenary Mazovians. We've got some boyars as well, which is Rus infantry, or Rus cavalry, sorry. And then he's got some noble swordsmen here. These guys are pretty elite. And then in the front, he's got a lot of these Ruthenian archers. So again, more Rus mercenaries joining the fight. And then his main line is a bunch of these armored spearmen, followed up by these armored infantry. And then he's got some Ducal axemen as well, another mercenary unit. More axemen on this flank. And then he's brought a lot of these skirmishers too, which was really nice to see as Lithuania. I really appreciate these skirmishers being here as well, because most people won't bring them to the fight. And then we got the Lithuanian Grand Duke. So I guess this would be the new Lithuanian Grand Duke, because the old one is now the Polish king. But we got some more of the Ducal axemen over here. And then we've got some Moldavian warriors as well. Some more mercenaries for Lithuania. Very, very cool. And then we move on to Poland. So we've got a lot of high period halberds. I think he has 4 units of them. And he's got some spear militia on that flank, not too worrisome, but he's got some Pavese spearmen in the front lines, so they're going to be a challenge. And then he's got some archer sergeants from Lesser Poland, so drawing from the ranks of Greater and Lesser Poland. And then he's bringing 6 units of these sergeants of the high period. And then he's bringing 6 units of these heavy axemen. So again, more really relying on the Rus infantry in this battle, which is again historically accurate. And way over on this flank, we've got Polish Knights of the late period. So these guys are going to be extremely deadly, very, very elite cav. They probably out-tier my Ritterbrüder, just because my Ritterbrüder are only tier 2, whereas these are tier 3. So we'll see how they fare. And then last but not least, we've got the Great Banner of Krakow, and we've got the Polish King here. So let's go ahead and put this on play. And you can see that the Polish player here, he is giving a speech to his men as they ride forwards. And I love how he's put the Great Banner in front as well. He's already spurring his men on, which is really, really cool. And you can't even really see our forces over on the other side of this hill, so I think that the scouts probably have told the Polish that the Teutonic Order is close. We're just moving forwards to crest the hill, and he's just giving a last-minute inspirational speech to his men. Just look at the long Polish lines here, too. And then he's going to cross into the Lithuanian lines as well. So as far as the positioning goes, this is pretty accurate as well. So the Polish did take the left side, and the Lithuanians took the right side. And I think that they're almost done their rally. I'm just going to jump out of here now and let them finish. And we're going to move over to here because this is where the battle first kicks off. So basically, as the Polish were rallying their forces, the Lithuanian cavalry actually jumped the gun, and they began a full attack from the right-hand side into the left-hand side Ritterbrüder. So they didn't really wait for the rest of the army, per se. They were just really ready to do battle. So they were supported by a few Polish banners, but they started the assault on the left flank of the Teutonic forces. And it was more than an hour of heavy fighting. So obviously that's not going to be shown here, but... So we got the boyars and the Mazovian cavalry. So they see that the general and the Great Banner are rallying their men, and they are ready to move to engage the enemy. Ooh, little voice crack there. But you can see the Ritterbrüder with their white and black just under that tree there. Looks really cool. And here goes the charge. This mercenary Mazovian cavalry is very quick. It's a very quick shock cavalry. Let's go ahead and jump out of there and kind of see the charge coming forwards. And the Ritterbrüder is going to respond just in time, so here we go. Oh, very nice. So 5 units to 5 units, and the battle has begun. Oh, a little bit of lag there. I find that the rain really drops my FPS, but I had to put it in for this battle. So the Mazovian cavalry is going to hold a little bit better. You can see that the morale is pretty much even, but the only problem is that these 2 units here of boyars, they only have 38 men in the unit. And there's one here, and there's one over here as well. And they're already winded from charging in, whereas the Ritterbruder has 60 men, so they already outnumber the boyars. So that's going to kind of give them the edge in this engagement. But it's pretty easy to tell who is who, that's for sure. Let's see if we can jump into some close-up fighting here. I wish that they made some more kill animations for cavalry as well, because it's never as exciting watching a cavalry engagement as it is an infantry engagement. But yeah, you can see that the boyars are just being outnumbered. They're being pushed back by the more elite Ritterbruder. Yeah, their morale is dropping quite a bit if we bump up this here. Yeah, it's down to 35. Ritterbruder holding at 43 for their morale. But it's just the losses that they are continuing to take here. Down to 29 men. This is down to 28. So Ulrich, sorry, he was pretty confident in his Ritterbruder. He knew that they would be able to handle this engagement, and the Lithuanian cavalry was effectively routed off the battlefield. They do turn up late game in this battle, so I guess a couple of them did kind of rally underneath the Polish banners and then go for another charge. They should start to break very soon here. I love the colors of the Teutonic Order. They're so cool. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot more of the Lithuanian cavalry falling. Look what they're fighting with, too, the Teutonic Order. Those... Well, some of them have swords, but some of them have these, like, armor-piercing... I don't know what those are called. They're kind of like maces, but they've got that little polearm hook in behind. Yeah, they're getting slaughtered. Yeah, it's starting to waver already now in the center. The mercenary Mazovian cavalry starting to break to the might of the Ritterbruder. Ritterbruder's morale isn't looking the best, though. But I think this unit that's routing is going to scare, you know, some of the other units into routing as well. Yep, here we go. Another unit is starting to waver. So I think they're starting to see their men flee. And there they go, just right on cue. All 5 units starting to waver and rout. So that was the first part of the battle. Now, the second wave basically was the Lithuanian and Polish forces uniting their infantry and getting ready to push. Now, you can see that the engagement isn't too long. It's about 12 minutes. So we're going to get some slow motion for sure when we get into the meaty, grindy action of the battle. But yeah, here comes the archers and the infantry slowly moving forwards. Let's jump into one of these units here.
The enemy refuses to admit defeat. Their unit has rallied.
You just look left and you see the long lines of Polish soldiers. Then you look right, too, and you see the Lithuanians kind of following suit, moving forwards. And the Lithuanians are very skirmish-heavy as well, so that's going to play to their advantage. They're not necessarily going to have to charge in right away. And let's see what's going on this flank over here as well. Looks like we got some of the cavalry moving. They look so funny when you kind of zoom in from farther away like that. These Polish knights look so glorious. Oh, and it looks like some of them starting to move a little bit faster. We should start to see the Ritterbruder come into view. Yes, there they are at the top of the hill here. Gonna jump out of there just a little bit. And yeah, here we go. Looks like the cavalry is pushing forwards here. Yeah, all tier 3 Polish knights are going into wedge formation as well. And we've got them charging forwards towards the Ritterbruder. I think the Ritterbruder are pretty confident here, because we do have 5 units to their 4 units. But at the same time, you can see that they're following it up with some of the spear militia as well to give their cavalry an edge. Let's go ahead and put this in slow motion and pop into this unit here for the initial charge. And this is the second stage of the battle, so as soon as the Lithuanian cavalry broke on the left-hand side, the Teutonic Order's left-hand side, I should say, then it was the right-hand side that engaged with the cavalry again. So trying to weaken the Teutonic forces from the flanks, which is always a smart decision. And a lot of my Ritterbruder actually just charging forwards and past the Teutonic Knights. And let's see how we're doing over here. If we turn on the HUD, you can see that a lot of the crossbows are being fired upon by the better range of the Ruthenian archers. And this player will probably move up his skirmishers as well. Yes, that's exactly what he's doing. So he's really giving himself the edge over these crossbows. Like, yes, the crossbows are good for weakening enemy infantry, but not so much archers. I find that crossbows are better to fire at heavily armored targets like the mercenary men-at-arms and that kind of thing, but not so much against this tidal wave of skirmishers and Ruthenian archers. These poor crossbows are just going to get cut down. You can see some volleys already happening. Waiting to see if some of the javelins start to come in here. Oh yeah, you can see them being thrown. And here comes some more of the javelins flying in against these crossbows. And I'm not even sure if a lot of these crossbows are in range, because only the front 2 lines are basically firing.
Enemy units have rallied and returned to the battle.
Oh, and then the arrows coming in as well. But let's jump into the other side here and see how things are going. So my soldiers are holding fast. I've got some of these Teutonic sergeants coming over here to aid my cavalry. You can see, though, that they're shaken. Recent casualties sustained. The Polish knights are just decimating my cavalry. They've got these archer sergeants as well that are supporting them. And yeah, these ones that came back from routing are just being cut down as well. And we've got some heavy axemen here in wedge formation. Let's see this charge going into the backs of the Teutonic cavalry. Nice charge there, but I'm going to turn it around with my Teutonic sergeants. You can see them coming into the fight as well. So we're both just trying to throw our infantry to even out this cavalry advantage, because you don't want to lose the cavalry advantage on the flanks. That would be a nail in the coffin for sure. Actually, I've got my mercenary men-at-arms up here as well. And I've got them in wedge because I'm going to try to sneak them through this flank here, but they are going to be focused by these archers, which is going to cause a bit of trouble for me. Yeah, you can see I'm starting to get some casualties from the archers firing there. Let's zip over here and see what else is going on. Looks like we did have a charge by some of the Ritterbrüder of the High Period moving into the armored infantry, but they managed to push them back. And look at the casualties that they've sustained here, probably due to a lot of these archers and skirmishers. But let's go ahead and slow this down. Looks like we have an all-out charge by the Lithuanian player into these Teutonic spears. This armored infantry does have their work cut out for them. You can see that the spears are in really thick formations, which is going to enable them to hold for a very long time. Let's just run down the battle lines here so you can see them charging forwards. Oh, very nice. Perfect. Following it up with more swordsmen as well, so really going to be trying to buckle this center line here. But that is going to be a tall order for these Lithuanians for sure. So my ally is in a little bit better of a position. For me, I was definitely outranged, so I decided to try and push some of my soldiers over. But they are just getting slaughtered by these these halberdiers here. You can see a lot of my spears starting to fall to the enemy. I've got more of my Schwadbrüder coming in behind to support me. But unfortunately, they're a tier 1 infantry, so they're not going to do well against these heavy halberdiers for sure. Oh, this guy's just swinging his halberd every which way.
Our general is being attacked. Keep him alive.
My general's being attacked as well. I think that's because over here I am losing this cavalry engagement. You can see I'm committing even more forces into the battle, but my general is engaged with these Polish knights of the late period. Most of my cavalry has been utterly destroyed. At the risk of my frames, I'm going to try and put it on play here so we can get some of the battle sounds in. We got more men coming in. I'm sending in more Schwadbrüder over here. And what do we got here? Looks like I've got my heavy pikemen moving forwards, but they're already down to 81 men, so that's not looking good. And we've got these heavy axemen just cutting up these poor Schwadbrüder over here. Oh, yep. Oh, that guy's lost his arm. That sucks. Uh-oh. Oh, he's just gonna parry it. But he's just got axes surrounding him completely. Oh my goodness. But I do have my pikemen in there. You can see I've got a couple units of a couple men in my pikeman unit over on that flank as well. And we should be able to do some damage to these halberdiers, but look at that. My Schwadbrüder's already breaking. So my battle line definitely not looking as good. Most of my infantry is routing, which is tough to see. We've already lost almost 2,000 men. And the enemy forces have lost about 1,200. But over here with this thick formation, the Teutonic Order is holding much better. They've kind of got these pikes a little bit out of position here, as you can see. Well, let's go back to the spear line and kind of jump in. See if we can see any more of the kill animations here. Usually on the cheaper units, you'll see the kill animations more often. And that's just because they have a lot less hit points. So it's easier to, you know, see heads flying off and arms and whatnot, that kind of stuff. But it looks like the skirmishers are engaged in melee as well. So Lithuania is just throwing everything that he can muster against the spear wall of the Teutonic Order. And you can see that they are still holding strong. And he has some units of Schwarzbruder in behind to defend. But if you kind of just look up the hill, there's a lot of my men that are retreating, unfortunately. In the center, it's just an all-out brawl as well. We got some Moldavian warriors against these elite Teutonic sergeants. So this would be a battle that I would think my Teutonic sergeants would do well against. Oh, and I say that and he just gets slaughtered as well. Oh, my frames are so bad. Never fear, guys. My graphics cards are in the mail. I can't wait to get new graphics cards. I've got an R9 390X right now, but I just feel like in these larger scale battles, it just doesn't do the job that I want it to. But my pikes in the center are holding quite well. Unfortunately, I need to push them up a little bit more to help this Schwarzbruder here, because they're fighting these Pavese spears all alone. They're not receiving any help from these Teutonic pikemen. And if we zip over here to take a look at how Ulrich is doing, not that well. He is pretty much surrounded at this point, and he actually is starting to waver. That is him right there, too. That's him in the white cloak. Oh, and he was just knocked off his horse. Oh, no. So there we go. Ulrich, the Grand Master of the Teutonic Order, was slain on the battlefield. And I don't know if that's historically accurate, if he died or not. I will leave that in the comments if you guys are interested. I can look that up and see. But the matter of the fact is that, yes, the Teutonic Order did suffer a terrible defeat in Grunwald. You can see that all of my troops have pretty much routed at the sight of the Grand Master's banner falling to the earth. But we'll go ahead and see how this other player is doing. My ally, he's doing much, much better than I am. And I should mention the player names as well, because in these epic battles I never show the end results. But R. Adams 97 was the ally of myself, so he was this other Teutonic player. And he is doing well holding. And then the Hunted was the Lithuanian player. And Hohen Master was the Polish player. So thanks very much, guys, for joining in. Really appreciate it. Again, not many kills going on with this this spear-on-spear action here. We really kind of have to go to where the cheaper units are. But over here, the Lithuanian player is actually putting a lot of pressure on the flanks. And we've even got some more units kind of cresting the hill here. We've got some of the Ducal Axemen, I believe. Yeah, we got the Ducal Axemen coming over the hill, mixed with some noble swordsmen. And we've got these pikes here that are holding strong, but they've suffered quite a few casualties, so they're going to start to waver, unfortunately. Oh, headbutt. Just dodging the sword as well. Oh, this guy getting stabbed in the gut. He's down. Oh, his partner's down as well. And, oh, very nice charge. I think this is by the Grandmaster's Guard. Yes. Hitting really hard into the flanks of this noble swordsman unit. But yes, the battle is definitely no longer in our favor. You can see that we're down to 1,300 men. They still have 5,900 men remaining. And yeah, the Polish-Lithuanian casualties weren't really known in this battle, but the Teutonic Order did lose a substantial amount. They actually had 8,000 dead and 14,000 captured. And there were 270 noble knights in this battle for the Teutonic Order, and 210 out of 270 were slain. So just a huge loss for the Teutons. I keep calling them the Teutons, but it's really the Teutonic Order. I don't know if the Teutons is the same thing. Feel free to fill me in if it is. Yeah, we got the spears battling it out here. With the noble swords as well. But if we look over the hilltop as well and turn on the HUD, you can see just the vast amount of Polish that are still alive from this fight over here. And they're just charging down the slopes with everything that they have. On the other side as well, you can see that there's 4 units of Polish knights that are going to be flanking around. So this is pretty much it for the Teutonic Order. Let's just put this on slow. I want to see this charge as well into the backs of the Schwadbrüder. Good charge, knocking some of them back as well. Yeah, the Grandmaster over here as well. Well, the guard, the Grandmaster's guard, it's going to be in a little bit of trouble very soon because we've got these Polish knights from Lesser Poland actually flanking around. This spear wall's still holding, though, so he did an excellent job with his spears, much better than I did. I should have probably stayed back and not engaged the Polish, even though I was outnumbered and such. I should have just kind of, you know, grinned and bear it, basically. But unfortunately, yes, this was a heavy loss for the Teutonic Order. And next epic battle that I have planned is hopefully going to be the Siege of Marienburg. So the Lithuanian-Polish army moves forwards and does siege the city of Marienburg, the capital city of the Teutonic Order. So I will try to get that in for you guys very, very soon. And I think the cavalry is just going to be coming in behind to finish off the rest of the Teutonic Order. Can see some crossbowmen that are just in shock. They're covered in blood. They don't know which way to turn. And the Polish are going to help ease their suffering. Oh, man. Just brutal. No surrender. This guy's just being tossed around. One's left standing still. So yeah, this is the end of the battle, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this epic Battle of Grunwald. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more epic battles. And please leave a comment if you have any ideas on what battles you want me to cover next.